FSR and DLSS have the ability to extend the life of cards that are now able to push to playable frame rates. Do you think that upscaling technology is discouraging consumers from upgrading by extending the life of old ones? If so, what is the benefit to NVIDIA and AMD? Yeah, I don't really think that's what's going on personally, but I'm interested to hear from you, Tim, since you've covered these technologies extensively.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily happening either. I think it's a way for games to improve the quality that they can offer to you, because these aren't driver level features. I think this would be more the case if it was like a universal driver level feature where you could turn it on and suddenly all games are like 30% faster, because then, that would be discouraging you from buying a GPU that's 30% faster, although that card would also still be 30% faster. It may make the games that you play more playable for a longer period of time. What I think it's actually doing is, because these technologies often come out in new games, so you see the latest title come out and it launches with DLSS or FSR, or fingers crossed in the future, both technologies, then that allows the developer to, increase the quality of things like ray tracing, for example, make that, instead of a setting you turn on and has no visual difference, it actually has some visual difference. They're able to use things like reflections, which tend to be the more visually impressive ray tracing element, as opposed to a game like, I don't know, Dirt 5, where you turn on ray trace shadows and you're like, is that setting on or not? And, there's all sorts of other features that they could enable, right? Like, it's not just ray tracing. It could be, more geometry, more textures, more anything that improves the visual quality of the game. So I think that's the benefit that we're getting from these technologies. Games can push the boundaries further and make better looking games at the same sort of performance. It's not as much the old game comes out with, now supporting DLSS or FSR. I don't think we've seen too many occasions where that has really, really happened to a significant degree. It's maybe been like a Red Dead Redemption 2, which has just launched with DLSS, where that's happened. But for the most part, I think it's more about, giving you more performance for features that make sense. And then you still have the incentive to upgrade, because, the features are going to be, you might be running 60 FPS ray tracing with DLSS. Next card comes out and it does it at 100 FPS. There's still your incentive there to upgrade. So I think that tends to be what we'll see with these sorts of things, which is, a good thing for games overall, I think.
Yeah, and for extending the life of older cards, to sort of elaborate on that a bit more, obviously DLSS doesn't have that ability anyway, because you have to have an RTX graphics card. So what's the slowest RTX graphics card? The 2060?
Yeah, 2060, yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it may help extend the life of that card to a degree. FSR, the problem with both technologies, in particular FSR, if you've got a 2060 and you're sort of dialing down from 1440p to extend the life at 1080p, DLSS isn't as good at 1080p opposed to 1440p, and that's certainly true with FSR. So FSR, extend the life of a GTX 1060 or an RX 580 is two comparable examples there. I've been pretty unimpressed with the 1080p quality for those GPUs to extend life. I think it wouldn't really extend the life for me. I think I'd be like, this thing's just not fast enough anymore. I'm going to upgrade. If that was the situation that you were in. So, yeah.
I think generally when it comes to like extending the life, like generally whatever games are available now, you're going to be happy with, because you've had that GPU, that's the level of performance you're getting. So I think the question comes down to, are future games going to be like increasing their graphics level, but then using DLSS to give you the same performance you've already got, in which case without DLSS, then that is kind of extending the life? Or are they going to go even further than what was already just normally planned, which I think we've sort of seen with like a Cyberpunk game, where without running like a DLSS type technology, the ultra settings are pretty punishing on, even without ray tracing on cards like that. So I agree. I don't think that the extending the life thing is going to necessarily play out. I guess it depends. Like, is FSR going to be in a lot of lower, like in a lot of games that are already out on the market? Then it might do what you're saying. But yeah, it's just, I think generally speaking, what it's going to do is you're still going to want to upgrade, but it's just going to mean that developers have so much more that they're able to do in games without worrying too much about gamers running it at 30 FPS, because you can turn on these features and get playable performance.